Hi, this is John Anderson. You're listening to On the Flip Side with Java John on WFIT.
All right, I have the distinct pleasure today to be speaking with one of the great voices of rock and roll of the past 40 years, Mr. John Anderson. Hello, John. How are you?
I'm doing fine, thank you. How are you?
I am doing great. It is truly a pleasure to be able to have a few moments to chat with you.
No problemo.
What prompted me to reach out to you at this time was scanning through my television dial not long ago. I came across a program called State of Independence, John Anderson and the Contemporary Youth Orchestra. What a performance. This thing was absolutely amazing. Can you tell me a little bit about how that came about?
Thank you. I'm glad you liked it. It was the lady who runs it and conducts the orchestra got in touch with me some 5 years ago, and I did a concert with the Contemporary Youth Orchestra in 2007. And then we didn't film it or anything, so she said, when the time comes, could you do it again? I said, yeah, I'd love to. So last year, she got in touch and said, we'd love to have you over, and we'll actually film it in HD for TV. And I said, yeah, it sounds really good, because you're working with young people, young teenagers, and they're so good at what they do. They play so good.
Oh, yeah.
And they're so open and happy to do music, And that's what sort of drove me to want to do it again. So I had a great time with them. And I've done a couple of more youth orchestras since then, one in San Antonio. And it's really good to work with young people because they're very open.
Sure. To watch that perform, and it was a full 2-hour performance, which was just awesome. To watch that and to look at these kids, some of them may have known your music from their parents, some of them from their parents. Some of them might not have been familiar with your music at all prior to that. But to look at their faces when they're performing Starship Trooper, or these just incredible masterpieces, of course. To look at the faces on these kids was just overwhelming to me, almost.
Yeah, to me too. It was in rehearsal. We had the best time, and then we did the show. After the show, we all got together at a Chinese restaurant, and those kids were so excited about the show, and they were so connected to the music. And like you say, they don't know much about who it is, who I am, and so, but some of them did, but not a lot of them. And then you had about 140 people in teenager years, and you sort of instill some love about music and love about life with them, and it lasted them a lifetime. So I was very, very proud to be part of it.
Excellent. It is. It's wonderful when they're not just locked into today's pop, because there's nothing wrong with today's pop, but when they're not narrow-minded and they're open enough to listen to everything, that's beautiful.
There's a lot of young people out there. They come to my show when I do my solo show. I really wish I could get down to Florida and play the show because it's a lot of fun.
We'd love
young people, and they come afterwards and say hi, and they hold you the Close to the Edge album. You think, oh my God, what a life!
Yeah,
it's amazing. So I feel very blessed to be in music and to have had such a wonderful success and a career that spans now 50 years. Because I started with my brother at the end of '62.
Right.
And we actually went and saw the Beatles just before they became famous.
Wow.
And we played at the Cavern in Liverpool. So to have a lifetime of music is quite a trip.
I'm sure. And as far as your music is concerned with me, when Close to the Edge came out, I was holding it. One of the great things of growing up in the 70s were these different landmarks when you got really connected with different types of bands. And for me and my friends, that one of those things was going to the midnight movie and watching Yes songs.
All right.
A complete mind blower because the only references you had, you only saw them on Ed Sullivan or the Midnight Special.
Yeah, Yes was very, very fortunate to have that space in time to create music that really will last forever because it's not music you hear too much on the radio, and it's something that people sort of gravitate to and start opening. When people started listening to Owner of a Lonely Heart, and then they realized, wait a minute, this band's been around for 12 years, and
Right.
then you go deep into what Yes had been doing in the 70s, and it's a wonderful feeling to have kept creating new music all the time without really reference to anything but what music's all about.
Yes, sir. I recently received a copy of your newest, which is called Open. I was very pleased to see that you used an orchestra on that recording. Is that all? Is that strictly orchestral? Is there any other instrumentation in there?
Well, there's young musicians performing, plus young piano players, guitar players. These are they're actually young guys who are in the School of Rock.
Okay.
All-Stars. I worked with them some 5-6 years ago.
Right.
And I kept in touch with everybody, and then, you get a chance to get them to play on a piece of music as large and like a landscape journey of music called Open. And a couple of local friends came on board. My wife sang on it. So it was a complete work for the 21st century. It's as though you got to keep creating music that I relate to. So
Sure.
I'm working on the next piece. It'll be probably ready by the end of the year. And it's just the idea of doing music that takes you on a journey.
Right.
It's not, there is great pop music out there, but it's not something that I've always been connected to. I've always been interested in the adventure of music. So
Right.
I'm glad you liked it. In fact, there was a guy who emailed me yesterday. He's heard it about 10 times, and he says, now I get it. It takes a few listens to really grasp the whole idea.
Are you speaking of it takes a few listens to grasp the idea of performing with the orchestral, or the grasp the concept of the meaning?
Well, not so much probably the meaning, but the idea of why you write a piece of music
Right.
for the last 20 minutes.
Right. Right.
Why do you want to do that? And it's because you want to take yourself on a journey. So you put the headphones on, or you just sit there and listen, and you come out of it the other end like you've been somewhere.
Right. Well, let me tell you, I did indeed put the headphones on, first listen, and it opened up, and it was 20 minutes, and I went, okay, this is 20 minutes. John's getting adventurous on this one, Okay.
Yeah.
So I turned it on, and the first thing I thought was, orchestral. Okay, that's cool, because last week I watched the thing with the youth orchestra. Great. So he's using this orchestra behind him. And then I'm listening, and I'm thinking, very nice, very nice, very nice. And by the time you get to the end, it is so powerful that I have to go back. Every time I listen to it, I have to go back and start it again and listen to it twice every time I listen to it. It's a beautiful piece, John.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it very much.
You said you're working on the next one. Will that kind of follow in line with this? Will it be something similar?
Yeah, it's like an extension
Right.
to the next level. I think it'll be more, I don't know, I'm not quite sure how to say it, but it's more rhythmic and I'm very interested in ancient rhythms, and I've been studying rhythms from Ethiopia, which is very ancient rhythms, a lot of ska in there, a lot of reggae.
Right,
it all comes from there. So that's what's part of the progress.
Nice. At the same time, I got to enjoy Open. I received a copy of the live recording from Anderson and Wakeman. It seems that you gentlemen did a tour, like a year ago?
That's right. We actually did a tour of the East Coast last year, and we recorded some of the show and of the UK show, which was about a year earlier.
Right.
And again, one of the things I realized, I love writing songs. I've been writing songs this morning with my son. He sends me emails with some ideas, and I love writing songs every day. It's part of my life.
Yes.
And I always think, you write songs for performance on stage rather than make a record. I always think what it's going to sound like on stage. So the songs with me and Rick really come through on stage in a live performance.
Well, and it was interesting when I got it because I'm thinking, okay, how is this gonna be? Do they have a band? But basically, I'm guessing it was just you, your voice, the acoustic guitar, and Rick on keyboards. Am I correct?
That's it. Keep it simple.
and it is, and it's simple, but it's so understated and beautiful, and certain parts where you would expect something else to come in from other members of Yes. Rick just puts these beautiful flourishes. Rick is just amazing, isn't he?
It's funny how Rick is really, over the years, he's just got more mature as a musician, and he's always been talented,
Sure.
for sure.
Yeah.
And it's just now that he's coming to this beautiful place of, on stage, he'll just play music, and I'll stand there listening because he just goes off on this dream, and he closes his eyes.
Right.
And makes beautiful music, very spontaneous.
Do you think this may lead to a studio recording with you and Rick?
Well, we have some new recordings, and Rick's going to send some new songs, I think, next month.
Cool.
And we're talking about coming down to Florida and doing shows through Texas and the West Coast early next year. So
wonderful.
I'm excited to do that.
Yes, we want you in Florida. I waited all my life. I've seen nearly all the bands that I've ever wanted to see and more, and I never got to see the band Yes until last year, and unfortunately you weren't with them. They were wonderful, but it was definitely lacking. It kept my mouth watering for John and Rick. You know what I'm saying?
Right. It's good music. It's something that I invested a lot of time working with the band and helping them create a lot of the music, and that was my part. I just didn't sit around waiting to sing. I was very into sort of directing the band. So when they perform the music now, it's still good music in my mind.
Right.
And but times change, and you just move on when things change that way. And they just wanted to carry on touring. I think they tour too many shows at a time these days. They're not young, crazy rock and roll people. Probably old, crazy rock and roll people.
Do you think that you may ever work with them again? Never say never, I guess?
Yeah, I'll call you first.
Okay.
You'll be the first call I make.
I appreciate that. At one time I had heard that the Yes albums of, say, the 70s and maybe into the early 80s, that there was a theme or a loose theme that ran through the recordings. Can you expound on that a little bit for me?
Well, a lot of it had to do with spiritual growth in your life. You go through this lifetime, and part of your life's experience is to grow spiritually. That's what everybody goes through.
Right.
And I'm one of the people that like to sing about it because I'm on that journey. So
right.
I went through so many different experiences, and I put them into verse, and I put them into lyric, and I put them into music. And I'm now, I went through a very difficult period, 2008, where I nearly died twice. And when you go through that experience, you start to really dig deep into thankfulness and sort of the glorification of life and the abundance of life. I think when I look at it these days, the abundance is health, enjoyment of nature that surrounds us, the enjoyment of friends and children, families, the enjoyment of the arts, whatever, and then eventually money comes in there,
right.
The enjoyment of money, but it's not the main thing.
Right.
And I think that's what I tend to sing about. That we're not here just for the money.
Right.
We're here for the divine experience of waking up to the beautiful life that we live.
And when you do have that sort of change, as I did rather differently than yours, but it is an amazing feeling to look at the world differently and to take joy out of tiny things,
Everything. I was out there in the garden the other day, and I dropped some keys on the floor, and I went down to pick them up, and these tiny, beautiful blue flowers were there. And I must have spent 15 minutes just admiring the incredible beauty of Earth Mother,
I hear you. I had to run in the house and grab the camera.
Hey, yeah.
you know. Speaking of a theme, there's another theme that runs through Yes and solo Yes artists, and that is the work of Roger Dean. How did you guys connect with Roger, the amazing artist, one of my favorites?
It was there we were in England, and we were making the Fragile album.
Yes.
And I saw this album cover by an English band, which is an African English band called Osibisa.
Yes.
And I said, this is art, and I love this artwork.
Mm-hmm.
So we got in touch with Roger and then said he came to the studio, and we played him some music. He went off and started creating, and then that was it for the next 5 years. And he actually got involved with his brother doing stage design.
Yeah.
So it was all part and parcel of trying to give Yes a texture, a color, an experience visually as well as musically.
He is a wonderful talent, and
Hey, when you think about it, you wouldn't have seen Avatar but for him.
yeah, oh, no doubt. I definitely thought of him when I saw that film, without a doubt. Yes. Have we got a few more moments?
Yes, please. I've got 5 minutes.
Okay. I did want to ask you about a couple of my favorite Yes tunes. One of my all-time favorite songs is a tune called "Wondrous Stories," a song that I always want more. When I hear it, I wished it was one of those long Yes songs, but it caps out at about 5 minutes, I think. But
Right. No, I sing that every show. I love singing that song. It reminds me of my children.
right,
I wrote the song about my two first children. I have three. But my first young children, they were about 5 years old, 6 years old, and I started writing about them when I see them in their sleep, and I just see them so beautiful, and like they're here to help me and teach me about life as much as I'm there to teach them, and so that's where the song originated from.
nice. One tune that dates back to some of the earlier Yes albums, one of the earlier Yes albums that shows up on the Anderson Wakeman Live one is the opening track, "You and I," which really kicks off this performance very nicely. I don't know. Is there anything that can be said about that song?
Well, again, I sing that on stage because I love singing that song.
Right.
And whenever I'm singing the song and I close my eyes and go back to that place when we created that album, Close to the Edge, how in harmony we were as people, and it was a wonderful experience to find 5 musicians that would really connect together. We had a great engineer, Eddie Alford, and we went through this beautiful 1-year period where we were so in harmony. And it happens very rarely,
Sure.
because we were doing music which was totally different than the norm. And I always thank the gods that this happened in my life.
Oh yeah. One more track I wanted to. I was listening to this the Anderson Wakeman. It's actually called "The Living Tree Live in Concert" CD, and one song that really strikes me that I would kind of like to know if there's some sort of a meaning to it is the one called 232411.
Well, again, Rick had sent me some music by the internet. He would send me pieces of music on MP3s, and I'd sit there listening. And that morning, I listened to it, the piece of music he sent me, and it was kind of sad music. It was very a little painful music, and I couldn't quite understand what to sing. But then I remembered, in my mind's eye, the idea of being in the army, so like gung-ho, we're going to go and fight the war, and then you get there and you realize it's not very nice.
Right.
And all the time thinking, when am I going to get out of this place?
Okay.
This crazy war, and that really is what the song is about, how devastating war is, and it's about time we learn to live beyond war as a human species, as a human experience. War, no matter which way we look at it, is not good.
I hear you. And
big business.
pardon
Yeah,
me?
it's big business, but
Oh, yeah.
not good.
Yeah. Yeah, no, okay. Well, that means that helps me out a lot on that one. So I'll be plugging that one in when I jump back in the car again.
Thank you.
I did want to mention to folks that that this recent recording by Anderson Wakeman and John Anderson's Open, which is available only by digital download.
At the moment, yeah, I
Yes.
think I'll put it out this summer with some other songs.
Okay, but you can find those now via johnanderson.com, along with all sorts of other interesting information about our friend John Anderson. Is there anything else coming up that you would like to speak of now, or are we good, John?
Well, we're good. I just wrote a song for the World Cup in Brazil a couple of days ago. It's going to be released in Brazil this summer because in 2 years, Brazil's going to be welcoming people from all over the world to watch football, which I love.
Yeah.
The World Cup. It's a beautiful experience. And I'm going down there to do some concerts, and I'm going to Europe to do some concerts this summer for the Olympic Games in London. So
Cool.
a lot of good things are happening. I'm very happy and very healthy, and I can't wait to come down and play down there in Florida.
Excellent. Well, I am happy that you are healthy and happy, John, and I am overjoyed that you took the time to chat with me, and we cannot wait till you come to Florida.
I wish you well.
You too, buddy. Peace.
Thank you.